Hello everyone, I am Casey the Gamer, and it is time for another game review. This time I'll be taking a look at a game that just recently came out. I am so excited to talk about Vengeful Guardian, Moonrider. Vengeful Guardian Moonrider was developed by Joymasher and released on January 12th, 2023 for PC, Switch, PS4, and PS5. Vengeful Guardian is a game that I was immediately drawn to as soon as I saw it. Retro pixel art graphics with some amazing looking gameplay? Think Contra, Ninja Gaiden, Mega Man, and Hagane had a baby, and we have Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. I was so hyped for this game. I blew through it in pretty much 1 3-hour session. It is so much fun, I didn't want it to stop. Now let's take a closer look at Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. There are spoilers ahead for the story of the game. A corrupt government called the Commission rules the people with an iron fist, not giving them enough food, and trying to control what they say or do. The government uses powerful robots called Guardians to defend the nation. One of the Guardians, known as Moonrider, rebels against his programming and goes rogue. Moonrider escapes his containment and kills the enemies in the room with him. He fights his way through the bioweapon lab and comes face to face with a giant robot. Moonrider manages to defeat this robot and get out of the lab. Moonrider has flashbacks of killing humans and questions what's going on. Moonrider pulls himself together and begins going after the other Guardians. He rides into the city, destroying all the robots that get in his way while he goes after Photon Drifter. After battling his way through the city, Moonrider catches up with Photon Drifter. Photon Drifter tells Moonrider that he can't stop the path of the Golden Revolution, saying that the rebels must be exterminated quickly. Moonrider asks if it's really so easy to end others' lives. Photon Drifter says that if you oppose the regime, that you no longer deserve to live. Moonrider easily cuts down Photon Drifter, destroying him for good. Leaders of the government have a meeting, discussing that there is a problem with one of their weapons, Moonrider. They say he's gone rogue and that shutdown was unsuccessful. They're worried that he could be helping the rebels. Next up, Moonrider heads to the laser research base. Most of the Commission's weapons are made there. The only thing standing in Moonrider's way is the Guardian Geocrusher and his platoon. Moonrider arrives at the base and begins fighting his way through the guards outside. Moonrider encounters an old swordsman. The old man tells Moonrider that it's the end of the line for him and to turn himself in or face the consequences. Moonrider says he won't stop until he puts an end to the Commission's tyranny. Moonrider and the old man have a quick battle, with Moonrider coming out on top. The old man retreats for now. Moonrider continues to fight his way through the base and finally confronts Geocrusher. Geocrusher wants to know why Moonrider would go against the great nation that he helped build. Moonrider says he isn't a part of this, and Geocrusher tries to get Moonrider to repent and join them again. Moonrider refuses and the fight begins. Geocrusher is a much more formidable opponent. The two trade blows back and forth until Moonrider slices Geocrusher in half, winning the fight. Moonrider's next target is the Guardian Hydromancer at the Desalination Facility. Moonrider makes his way through the watery facility, fighting all manner of robots, cutting each of them down as if they were nothing. Moonrider finds Hydromancer, and Hydromancer says they were created to obey the Commission, no matter what. Any deviation from the plan must be corrected. Moonrider makes very short work of Hydromancer, killing him easily. Riding his motorcycle, Moonrider reflects on things, questioning if he is evil because the purpose of his creation was evil. then stating he thinks his own actions define his purpose better than the lab that created him. Moonrider says he will only truly be free when all of the humans are. He's going to make it happen, or die trying. Moonrider goes to attack Asura's fleet. The Guardian storm diver is supposed to be in the area. Moonrider jumps from ship to ship, fighting off enemies until he encounters Stormdiver herself. Stormdiver claims that Moonrider is an evil that must be stopped, and Moonrider says that he is the lesser evil trying to stop the larger evil. Moonrider and Stormdiver begin their battle. The two seem to be pretty much evenly matched, but Moonrider wins the fight and Stormdiver retreats. Moonrider heads to the Fallen City to track down Flamestalker. Moonrider is chased by a giant robot during his trek through the city. Moonrider fights the robot twice and manages to defeat it. The robot's explosion causes fire to spread like crazy. Moonrider rushes out of the fire and runs into Flamestalker. Flamestalker just insults Moonrider before their fight. Moonrider and Flamestalker clash with each other until Moonrider emerges victorious. Moonrider journeys into the Lost Ruins in order to find Darkchaser. Moonrider rushes through the ruins fighting all kinds of robots and crazy monsters until he locates Darkchaser. Darkchaser tells Moonrider that he should be ashamed of his behavior and that he's too damaged and must be destroyed. Moonrider and Darkchaser's crazy battle begins. Darkchaser has the most wild powers yet, but she is still no match for Moonrider. Moonrider finishes her off and leaves the ruins. The rebels have heard that Moonrider went rogue after being made to kill civilians. They think that this is their chance to strike back against the Commission. Moonrider heads to the Duas space elevator. During the drive inside, Moonrider is attacked by many more robots. He decimates them all. He also has a quick confrontation with Sunseeker, the final Guardian. While riding the elevator up, Moonrider is attacked by even more robots. He manages to defeat them all as well. Now that Moonrider has entered the space station, he has to find the Guardian Sunseeker and defeat him once and for all. Moonrider fights his way through the space station and is eventually confronted by the old man from earlier. Moonrider easily defeats the old man, but spares his life. Moonrider spared the old man because he can see beyond his own interests on how the Commission is destroying everything. People like him are needed to make any real change. The old man says that he'll do it. Nothing is left between Moonrider and Sunseeker. The two Guardians meet, and Sunseeker tries to get Moonrider to join him. Sunseeker wants to make a better, stronger revolution. Moonrider says the only way to make things better is by destroying unjust power, including them and the Commission. The final battle begins. Sunseeker is by far the most powerful Guardian and really gives Moonrider a run for his money. After a hard-fought battle, the two Guardians rush at each other. Meanwhile, the rebels have surrounded the Commission's bunker. There hasn't been a breach yet, but without the Guardians, it's only a matter of time. The leader of the Commission demands to know where the Guardians are. He is told that most of them were neutralized and that Sunseeker has ceased communication. The battle between Moonrider and Sunseeker continues. Sunseeker is still trying to get Moonrider to join him. Moonrider refuses, saying that power without limits or responsibilities is never justified. The two continue trading blows back and forth. Moonrider says his own life is a small price to pay to help everybody else. An explosion rocks the space station. The rebels make it into the bunker and surround the surviving members of the Commission. The scene cuts back to space and shows that the space station was completely obliterated. The ending screen shows a damaged Moonrider with Stormdiver and the old man. Moonrider's story is like a very simple and cheesy but fun action movie. I had a blast playing through the story of this game. I would just like to know for sure if Moonrider is alive at the end. I mean, they have his body, but it doesn't show if he still functions or anything like that. I would like to assume that he's still alive, because I'm a sucker for happy endings like that. But if not, he gave it his all for the people. Vengeful Guardian Moonrider is a 2D retro-inspired hack-and-slash platformer, and it feels amazing to play. You take control of the titular guardian, Moonrider, who can run, jump, wall jump, and slash his way through the stages of the game. Along with the basic movement of being able to run and jump, I mentioned wall jumping. The game has a lot of wall jumping, and it's just so satisfying getting into a rhythm with it. Wall jumping can lead you to find upgrades, HP or MP refills, and 1-ups. And in some instances, it gets you out of danger. The wall jumping is very fun and very smooth in this game. So Moonrider's basic attack is a slash of his sword. You can do a 3-hit combo if you keep pressing the attack button. You can also do a running slash attack that does extra damage, killing most enemies in one hit. Moonrider is able to slash with his sword in the air, but only a single slash. In addition to that, you're able to do a dive kick and hit enemies from above. In addition to your normal attacks, Moonrider obtains special weapons from each of the 6 Guardians. Moonrider already comes with a special weapon of his own, the Moon Spear. It's a powerful thrusting attack that does some pretty decent damage. Special weapons or abilities obtained from the bosses are the Photon Dash, which is a high-powered dash move that lets you cover a lot of ground. Geo Crash, which is like Zero's Giga attack in Mega Man X4. Moonrider slams his fist into the ground and sends projectiles flying everywhere. You can also do this in the air to send out more powerful projectiles when you hit the ground. Storm Shot is kind of like Storm Tornado in the first Mega Man X. Moonrider shoots out a tornado type of attack. It was nice getting a ranged move at the time, but one of the later ones is a bit better. Hydro Shuriken surrounds Moonrider with a barrier of 4 shurikens. Once they hit a target, they will disappear. Also, hitting the special move button again will allow you to launch the shurikens one by one. Flamerang is a fiery boomerang. It's pretty cool, but this was probably the one that I used the least. And now for the one that I used the most, Dark Portal. Moonrider opens up a portal and summons a tentacle that will hit enemies multiple times. This special weapon is so good. It absolutely melts bosses. There are also special enhancement chips that you can equip Moonrider with. There are 12 in total, and the stages typically hold 1 or 2. You also get one for gaming over called the Armor Chip. It reduces the damage you take, but prevents you from getting higher than a B as your stage ranking, which I think is a pretty fair trade-off. Not a bad idea to use that chip until you get better and more comfortable with the game. Some of the other chips include a double jump ability, HP and MP regeneration while standing still, HP and MP regeneration from killing enemies, and being able to change the color of Moonrider. There's more, but I just wanted to name a few. My favorite was definitely the double jump and the healing from killing enemies. There are a total of 9 action-packed stages in Vengeful Guardian. There is the intro stage, the 6 boss stages, and the 2 finale stages. They're all so much fun. The standard gameplay is the 2D side-scrolling action, but on a couple of occasions, there are these third-person segments where you ride a motorcycle and shoot the enemies that come towards you and jump over the obstacles in your way. I think it's a pretty cool change of pace, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. Plus, it's done right. A lot of vehicle segments in games can be a pain in the ass. The intro stage opens up with Moonrider escaping his confinement. You then proceed to fight your way through the lab to make your escape, and you fight a giant robot boss at the end. After that, you're free to play the 6 Guardian stages in any order you want. Since it was my first time playing, I just went in a random order. Plus, I don't think it really matters what order you go in. So I went after Photon Drifter first. The first part of his stage is the first motorcycle riding segment in the game, and it was tons of fun blasting my way through enemies and jumping over obstacles. In segments like these in video games, I always say, never stop shooting. It's just super helpful. Once the driving part is over, you're jumping from vehicle to vehicle, fighting snipers and other enemies until you reach Photon Drifter. Once you defeat Photon Drifter, you obtain the Photon Dash ability. After that, I went after Geo Crusher. Fight your way into the base and you'll eventually come face to face with the dual sword wielding old man. Defeat him to move on to the next section. In the second half of the stage, you'll start having to avoid some lasers until you get to one of the coolest looking mini bosses I've ever seen. Defeat the boss and move further into the stage. Now there are even bigger lasers for you to avoid. But once you make it through them, you find Geo Crusher. Geo Crusher is probably the most formidable of the regular bosses. Once you defeat him, you get the Geo Crash ability. Next up is Hydromancer. His stage is the water stage. As far as water stages go, it's actually pretty good and pretty fun. Partway through, there's a mini boss that reminds me of Mother Brain from Metroid. It's a creature in a jar that shoots rings at you. It also comes with a big laser that Mother Brain didn't have. There's another mini boss a bit later that's also pretty cool and easily defeated. Make your way through the watery stage and you'll eventually meet with Hydromancer. Defeat Hydromancer to gain access to the Hydro Shuriken ability. Once Hydromancer is dealt with, I went after Storm Diver. The stage has you jumping from ship to ship in the air, but worry not. Vengeful Guardian does not kill you if you fall into a bottomless pit. It does damage you slightly and then puts you back where you were, which is nice. Anyway, continue jumping from ship to ship and fight the mini bosses and get into the main ship to get to Storm Diver. Once you best Storm Diver, you get the Storm Shot ability. And interestingly enough, Storm Diver is the only one of the Guardians that does not end up dead after you fight them. She retreats once you deplete her health. I went after Flamestalker next and was chased by a giant robot through both parts of the stage. This giant robot is the mini boss in both parts. You damage it the first time and it still keeps coming after you until you destroy it for good. Destroying it causes everything to catch on fire, and you have to wall jump like mad to escape the rising fire. It's a really fun segment. After that, it's time to fight Flamestalker, the most ruthless shit talker of the bunch. Defeat him and get the Flamerang ability. And finally, it's time to go after Dark Chaser. This stage introduces some creepy monster head enemies, and there's a bit of a maze with some switches in the later half of the stage. Flip all of the necessary switches to open up the way to Dark Chaser. Before you can even damage her, you have to destroy this drone that floats around her. Once you do, the fight really kicks into high gear. Dark Chaser likes to pull off some Bayonetta-style Wicked Weave moves, which are really cool to see. Defeat her, and you get the Dark Portal ability. Now that all of the 6 Guardians have been defeated, it's time to go after their leader, Sunseeker. You enter the Duos space elevator and you are treated to another motorcycle segment. Destroy everything that gets in your way, and you even have a bit of a scuffle with Sunseeker himself with a motorcycle of his own. After that, you make it to the actual elevator part, and you have to fight tons of enemies until you reach the top. Defeat the boss there to make it to the next stage. The final stage is the space station. Fight your way through the enemies, and you'll have to fight the old man again. Once he's defeated, the way to Sunseeker is open. And Sunseeker is definitely the hardest boss in the game. And I mean, he should be. He's the final boss. I feel like the other bosses you could kinda get away with brute forcing them, but Sunseeker has a total of 4 health bars between his 2 phases, meaning you need to play smart and conserve your health and MP. It's so satisfying though when you finally get the pattern just right and you get your opening to lay on the hurt to defeat him once and for all. With Sunseeker defeated, you have beaten the game. One of my favorite things about Vengeful Guardian is that you're able to go back and replay all of the stages again to increase your score and pick up any of the modification chips you missed out on before. And of course, you can try out different chip combinations as well. The game definitely has its hard moments, but it's very fair overall. Like I mentioned earlier, you get the armor chip when you game over, which reduces the damage you take, but makes it to where you can't get higher than a B for the stage score. I think that's a fair trade-off. And there's plenty of checkpoints. If you game over and continue, you start off at the last checkpoint, which is wonderful. Whenever you get to the second half of a stage, your health and MP are filled back up to full. Plus just all of the ability chips you can get makes it much easier to stay alive. Like I mentioned, my favorite one being the HP regen when killing enemies, I just love that so much. So the game can be difficult, but it more than arms you well enough to deal with the difficulty. Such a fun game. Vengeful Guardian features beautiful Super Nintendo style pixel art graphics. The character sprites and backgrounds are incredible. The pixel art cutscenes look amazing as well. Also, the character and enemy designs are superb. Oh, this game is beautiful. And the sound effects fit the game perfectly. No complaints at all. Everything sounds like it should, and they're all incredibly satisfying. The soundtrack. I absolutely love the soundtrack for this game. Oh man, did they knock it out of the park. Every single stage has great music. It feels so good cutting baddies to ribbons while jamming to this awesome music. So it's pretty obvious that I love this game. Vengeful Guardian Moonrider is an amazing game and an incredible love letter to a lot of my favorite retro games. This is seriously one of my new favorite retro-inspired games. I look forward to playing it more and more. Everything from the visuals to the music to the gameplay is top-notch. The game is just so much fun to play. So without a doubt, I recommend Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. Give it a shot. Thank you all so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And if you want to see more of me, you can catch me streaming all kinds of stuff over on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/CaseyTheGamer91. And I'm also on Patreon now. If you sign up, you can get all kinds of benefits like early video access, or on higher tiers, you can get custom-made pixel art portraits made by me, and other stuff like that. And the link for that is patreon.com/CaseyTheGamer91, and you can find both links in the description below. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to catch you next time. Peace out.